Well, as we saw there's no doubting the strength of feeling amongst those on strike. But what is the government's view? According to the coalition, the Midlands economy is on the up compared to recent times.
Our political correspondent, Alison Mackenzie, now reports on the Westminster response to the day of action.
Put simply, the government described today's strikes as irresponsible. They say in austere times the people across the Midlands should rally together, not risk an economic recovery by going out on strike. They insist that services haven't been brought to a standstill and that pay restraint is essential because they inherited a big deficit from the previous Labour government. These are the words of the Cabinet Office Minister, Francis Maude.
We have to restrain pay. That's an essential part of it. We can't allow debts to mount up in the way that has happened in the past, because these are debts that our children and our grandchildren are going to have to pay off. It would be quite irresponsible to mortgage the future of the country in that way. So we have to continue to take difficult decisions so that we can protect frontline services while preventing the debts mounting up in the way they have in the past.
We know that if the Conservatives win through at the next election, they'll bring forward legislation to change the rules on when strikes can be held. They say so few people turned out in some of the strike ballots, it's not really representative. So they're thinking of a threshold, a determined level of turnout before a strike can be determined lawful. Alison Mackenzie, ITV News, Westminster.
Well, that's the picture from Westminster this evening. But in tonight's lobby, you can hear what three of our Midlands MPs think on the rights and wrongs of the government's response to the striking public sector.
I think this is a bit of a distraction by the government, and I support, if trade unions want to go on strike, I'm also a member of a trade union, I support their right to strike. We've got to have...
Even though the minority want it?
This has to be fair, because, you know, I talk to teachers who don't want to strike, who feel
well, they don't have to go on
pressure.
strike.
A lot of them haven't gone on strike.
There's no closed shop anymore.
From their colleagues if they're not going out on strike. And I think that all they want is, you know, a fair ballot in a fair time scale so that you can justify whether you're taking action.
The question is how you define fair. Yeah. And basically, on this occasion, people have gone on strike. I don't think they should have gone on strike. I think it's a waste of time because they're striking against the maths. And 2 + 2, sadly, is always going to be 4. It won't be 5.
For the full lively debate and more on the millions of pounds headed here from Westminster to boost the region's economy, that's the lobby tonight at 11:35.
You are watching ITV News Central. Still to come on the programme, a campaign to find more homes for homeless teenagers in the Black Country. A group of teenagers and young adults from the West Midlands want to spread the message about the dangers of knives with a film which premiered today in Birmingham.
The students filmed and edited it themselves, and they were supported by West Midlands Police. Here's a clip.
As a youngster, I got into trouble carrying knives and that, selling drugs on the streets, and that's what made me get into got my prison sentence, and you know, killed a guy, and got a life sentence. And people seem to glorify prison, youngsters and carrying knives and all that, which is totally wrong.
Earlier we were joined by one of the students and PC Ian Northcott, and we began by asking them what they wanted to achieve.
The main goal, what we wanted to achieve, was basically for people to reduce using knives and just not use them altogether, just put them away and don't even attempt on using a knife in any sort of situation at all.
Now, Ian, as an officer with West Midlands Police, you know that knife crime has soared and it's really quite common in the West Midlands. Were you then quite pleased that they chose this as a subject, because obviously it's a subject they're making for their age group in effect?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say soared. I mean, I think West Midlands is still a very safe place to live. But there are a lot of crime incidents involving knives, and those can be very damaging. People do die, and we decided that really just one life lost is one too many.
First of all, you spoke to a lot of people in this film who've carried knives, one man who even killed with a knife. How do you convince people who carry a knife they feel for their own protection? How do you convince those people not to take a knife?
Well, from the interviews that we actually taken from the scenes in the video itself, it was quite emotional how they were expressing themselves. As the guy himself who spoke to, he was really saying how it's really affected his family a lot of the times when his kids used to come and see him and they used to go one way, he used to go the other way. So it really did have a knock-on effect on his family life as well as his time in prison. He didn't enjoy it at all, and it did give him a lot of pain and stuff that he couldn't really handle at the time.
How did it affect you as the filmmakers, as the team producing this film? How did you feel when you heard all these things?
Well, at the time, it felt emotional to us as well, because touching up on a sensitive topic like that, it is pretty ridiculous how a knife can actually destroy people's lives instantly. Just
Briefly, you had the screening at a full-size cinema this morning, with a great feeling of pride, I imagine, for both of you.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
It was really good, really impressed with the outcome and the turnout. I really enjoyed it, and the feedback was amazing. Sure.
For me, certainly, yeah. 130-seater cinema, pretty much approaching full. Really nice to see. And you do get a lot of pride on these young people, because sometimes young people get a bad name for themselves a little bit, and people don't give them a chance. And I've been involved in 3 teams now, the team programme with the Prince's Trust, and they teach us something every day. They're amazing, they've got lots of skills. They just don't know it, and we try and kind of bring that out of them. And I think we're getting there with this lot.
Yeah, I think we're worried when it comes to filmmaking skills, but we wish you all the best with that. So, Faisal Rahman, Ian Northcott, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.